Hello, Scott. Welcome to Awaken Hidden Truth. How
Hi,
are you?
great. I figured if I didn't start this recording, we would never get it done.
Okay, let's shoot.
The mind and emotions of people on earth divert them and distract them in many ways most of their lives, and they get very little done regarding actually recovering who they are, even finding out why they're on this planet or how they came here. It takes some courageous effort on a person's part when they begin to recover who they are to co-creatively imagine their way out of here. Because people from other worlds don't just come and set someone free with that person being ignorant and unawake and just suddenly snap them into freedom, because that person would never be able to keep it. They wouldn't have the wisdom or the understanding that must go with keeping freedom, or they'll lose it again. They'll make mistakes or end up on a planet like Earth with no memory. So we don't want that. The work that I do and why we're doing it is so that people can go in one direction out of that trap, the illusion that they are material beings when they are not. It's an illusion. It's Maya. It's not real. I mean, what's real is that they're a spherical energy being running a body. And most people just can't comprehend that. They've grown up on a world that teaches them they're all bodies, It's about food and eating and making babies and all. That's a side effect of why we're here. Yeah, that's really just a side effect of why we're here. Had to go teleport and take care of something, come back. Anyway, it's why we're here is not for the reasons people are taught from politics or religions. That's all wrong. We're not here to worship some supreme somebody way up there that we don't know. And people that do that generally believe they're not capable of understanding such a huge, monstrous super being. This is misdirected and purposely misdirected thinking. Because the Atma, not the body, can understand what that is part of it. So that's what we want to wake up down here and on other worlds and other dimensions, is what we are and what we're capable of knowing and doing that is not this. Because this is just one little body made of molecules on one little planet for a short period of years. The Atma is not made of matter, molecules and electrons and protons. It isn't. It's energy, but it's of a different sort. The Atma can move through an energy field that runs through all of creation and travel the multiverse and know things and experience things. The brain and body of a human being on Earth cannot do that. It's not designed to do that. It's limited and must remain in the parallel dimension of the matter it's made from. Under certain circumstances, a body like this can be brought aboard craft that can take it to other worlds or to other parallel dimensions within the physical universe. But it can't even take that body into the astral plane, the next major division. It's a real plane, a real huge, monstrous field of energy, of planets and galaxies and suns that vibrate on a higher frequency than the physical universe. The trillions of galaxies that are there, that's just one level. So the Atma, being spherical and having different layers to it of capability and comprehension, can perceive and understand the nature of who they are as a being and the nature of the multidimensional creation they live in. They are capable of leaving bodies and exploring higher dimensions and other realities. They just don't know this on Earth because nobody's taught this growing up here, Pari. They just aren't. How are they supposed to know how to do stuff they're not trained when they're very young and pliable to be confident about this stuff? Someone finds out, fortunately, even as an adult, that everything they were ever taught in this world they believed in was not true and backwards in most cases, if not outright deceptively wrong, to keep people controlled, to keep them stuck, trapped in a simple little lifetime that comes to an end in a few short years. And many people, while they're growing old, identify with the body as who they are. And then the body goes, oh, and dies. And they're sitting there out of the body going, oh my God, I died. No, you didn't die. The body ceased operating. You're not dead. And then they have to deal with their fears of the unknown and the future and getting out of a body, whether they like it or not, because they're out of a body at that point. The real them is out of a body. Only then do most people realize they never died. They just finished a life cycle in one body on one planet on one dimension. That's common knowledge to many beings that didn't grow up on a planet as backward as Earth. Common sense knowledge. They know this stuff with certainty. They don't have doubt and fear about, oh, what am I? Or what was my past lives? Or where am I headed? Or why am I here? Many races beyond this earth know full well why they're here. They may not know about the upper worlds where we go on journeys, as you know. Even in some of these radio shows, I've got guided people deliberately across the void into the upper worlds. So they get a grounding about being in a place that has never had any of this negative nonsense in it. They can begin to recover and co-create and awaken how to change things all the way down here back on Earth. Because you can't change things from a physical body affecting physical matter in the same dimension. Just it's the same place. You can't change it. See what I mean? You have to get above that as a being and change it there, and then it changes here. As above, so below. When people wake up on Earth and they know they're an Atma running a body, what they become aware of, it becomes as below, so above. They start moving this enlightenment up to bodies they have on other planes that don't give a crap about them here. Their higher selves. If higher selves really cared about you, would you be unconscious on a planet wondering why you're here? See what I mean? A lot of higher selves means body forms living in other planes that are this one Atma, you, the real you's running, maybe don't care about you down here on Earth because they're selfish. They're motivated and captivated by the glittering lights of the plane they're in. Let's put it that way. So the Atma spherical energy running a body runs an astral, causal, mental, and etheric body, has all these forms learning on these different levels at once. People on Earth have been completely suppressed from knowing any of that anymore. Way back in the back of everybody's consciousness, they knew this stuff. They know it. Because they're living a life on these planes, and those beings, those higher selves, aren't necessarily communicating with them here. If they were, would Earth be like it is now? How about no? There's a lot for people to wake up here. It's not just about knowing what they are that isn't physical, made of physical matter. That's just one level of energy, a very slow vibration level. The molecules all move at the same time rate that make up the body of people on Earth. The planet moves at the same time rate. The stars they see with their physical eyes, the galaxies out, they're all moving at the same time rate. If you shift that time rate up a little bit, you begin to see another reality, a parallel dimension, operating separately without interfering, still in the physical universe. And there are many of those. The universe and the creation, the multiverse, is very vast. It's much bigger than just the billions of galaxies you see out in this molecular time rate with the Hubble telescope. It's levels of it. And then even bigger levels of it above that. It's just big. The only beings that can comprehend such complex and diverse multiverse nature is the Atma itself, who we really are. Because that spherical self comes from that place way above the void, originated from there in a place that is not matter, nuclear, atomic. It is energy that supports and sustains all of that in the lower dimensions, where time and space and good and bad and positive and negative work. Those are all constructs. Those are all material creations for Atmas to run bodies and make higher faculties work through those adjusted bodies so that those body forms on different planes can be what we call enlightened. That means they're capable of receiving and transmitting information from the Atma running them on different levels, this whole spherical being, and gain a considerable adjustment to their nervous system, their brain, how they function, what they believe, what they think. If all you're brought up with on earth is believing in some faith in something, and that's all you have, and you're supposed to wait till you die to go somewhere to find out truth, people are going to be sadly disappointed because they won't be dead, but they'll be taking their fear of death, fear of the unknown, thinking they're a body that's dying, and they'll take that fear with them. And those conditions of fear will magnetically draw them to the same kind of conditions. And they'll be compelled to reincarnate here in another body and not remember anything. It's a striking thing to recover one's true self and freedom, to choose not to do that anymore. The individual has to be awake enough and enlightened enough to choose not to do it anymore, or they'll just do it out of a bad habit. Tyrants know this and work with keeping people surrounded by negative fear of the future, one form or another. That's your mass of people on earth. Hidden governments, classified people, royal families, all the mass, they're all in it together. It's like the blind leading the blind down a negative direction, and they can't help themselves. Why? Because they're being driven and influenced subconsciously. Their nervous system is being influenced subconsciously from programmed terror to make incorrect decisions in present time about their lives and the planet, how to run it. So the planet doesn't run very well. And every time they do something they think is good for the whole planet, it's to backfires terribly, and they have to spend trillions of dollars and do all kinds of stuff, try to cover that up, and then try something else. And it just gets more heavy and top heavy and top heavy and top heavy. Something has to give. There is no future for life on this planet the way it's being run right now. There just isn't, because it's being misdirected in negative ways that fear the future. Even a classified military fears extraterrestrials, good and bad, because they're more powerful and more aware than we are. So they want to somehow create stuff to defend themselves and keep their status quo and get funding for weapons development. Funding for more weapons development for its own sake creates inevitably a destroyed world. Funding for weapons that create defensive capabilities used only in defense and never offensively is really how advanced races from the stars operate. They don't create weapons to go destroy someone else. A planet that's run in a way where the entire financial structure supports a World War II kind of thinking, all these years later, is not a good thing. The opportunity has been presented to people on this planet, leaders, decades and decades ago, to be freed of this great misdirected burden, and they were turned down by people who are subconsciously influenced from fear of the future. That's all it takes. So, what needs to take place here, people on Earth, in governments, in classified arenas, I'm speaking in behalf of and in favor of all of them, royal families, you, me, and everyone else, needs to get the assistance from kind beings, many of them human, who are not from Earth, to come here and help straighten this mess out. This begins with people when they're out of their bodies at night, and everybody goes to sleep at night. They're actually leaving their bodies and leaving them on automatic. And the trance state we on Earth call sleep. That is when they're in a more expanded state as a spherical being, and beings that are friendly and kind can approach them and begin to help them realize and see the error of their ways. So when they come back in their body in the mornings, they're just different, more enlightened, freer, and they make better decisions. This is the preparatory way things are done to bring about a transformation on a global scale to any world that is really in a self-destructive mode. This planet could be traveling, and its people could be playing amongst the entire Milky Way galaxy right now if the leaders who were so fear-ridden had accepted the offer that they've turned down several times. They're trying to find a way to get technology from beings that are far more advanced and somehow still be arrogant and egotistical, go out in the universe with fear and anger and prejudice and all this crap and fear the future, and go out to the stars and see if they can't somehow manipulate themselves a place out there. That's never going to happen. What I'm sharing with you is people on Earth today in the classified arena also know that's not a direction they can go. There are things and beings and things connecting with them that are making it known certainly to them that the direction they're heading has no future. None. Not out there playing among the stars. This is common sense.
Scott, but people are still concerned by the situation on planet Earth. For example, this person, Marini Vitsuba, she said, I do have one question. I see human trafficking. How do you stay free of it? No walking out.
Well, it's as simple. Don't create being in fear. Do not put fear out from your own imagination into the world, because you will attract it to you. Why? Because we are actually godly beings. The spherical Atma, what we really are, is in existence to learn how to be a trustworthy co-creator with the source behind all life. That's it. I just answered the greatest mystery for everyone on this planet. They can complicate it and jumble it up and throw all kinds of garbage in with it, but the real truth is, the purpose of individual existence as a being, like a human being, is to discover and awaken to drop fear, stop supporting it out of ignorance and a bad habit, like a drug addict. Stop feeding negativity in your imagination out into the world. Stop seeing the future in a fearful way. Stop seeing an Armageddon coming to destroy us all, because that's just contributing to it. We are really meant to be co-creators, which means we, when we imagine something, goes out and impresses this huge omnipresent field of energy that we call the hue, or the new ray in the hue more properly, because that's what's in existence in that first sound behind all creation. Now, that was never there before, about 8 years ago, Earth time, even in the upper worlds. Something has changed that's altered the destructive prophesied Armageddon for this planet, permanently altered it into a whole new direction, not just for Earth, out there among the stars as well. Fortunately for people on Earth, we are, in reality, whether we know it or not, and are unconscious on a planet like Earth, we're co-creators with the source. And this living first sound, this energy that is not nuclear, that supports everything, it's telepathic. And when we send a negative imagination into it, it recreates with us. It is a co-creator. What people call divine spirit, they have no real understanding of what it is, co-creates with us from the source. And we put out good things and bad things at the same time. It creates both conditions. That is Maya, illusion. That is working with the lower energies of the positive and negative energies. It traps the Atma, attaches it to bodies, and grounds it to the Earth. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. On worlds that are not like Earth, that are out in our galaxy, hundreds and hundreds of millions of them that are spacefaring and work together in harmony. People know better than to use their imagination, which is not created in the brain at all. First of all, it's an energy field that's sent out from the sphere running a body. That is what imagines, not the brain. And when it sees something out there as an idle imagination or daydreaming, it's actually seeing it somewhere. Fear and subconscious influences distort what it sees. That's why people bring back distorted dreams. Sometimes they bring back a real fun dream of flying in a physical body somewhere through the air. What they don't realize and never taught on this earth is they're actually flying in a physical body somewhere. As an Atma running a body, probably in the astral plane somewhere, next dimension. And they have no training to bring any of that back as if it's real and become enlightened. They just go, oh, it was neat, and they go about their day, eat a hamburger and go to work and pay taxes, and that's it for them, their whole life. Those are all missed opportunities, really. So when a person starts to become of the true and proper utilization of the imagination, which is to consciously and of free will only create that which will be of uplifting benefit to all life, not just life on earth. That won't work. That's selfish and it's childish. All life in the entire grand multidimensional creation. That is what we are capable of doing as individual beings, human or human. The body and brain is not capable of that. What runs this body and brain, the real individual, that people have been made to forget on this earth, is what does that. That's pretty clear, right? People will hear it said this way for the first time with the work I'm doing on this planet. It's why I came here. It is not like anybody else's work on this planet. It cannot really be compared to anything else going on here because it does not come from here. It didn't originate on this planet. I don't say that for any purpose other than to impress upon people that they are finding hidden truth being spoken to them for the first time with a knowing certainty for their benefit. For someone who's been trained, and prepared to do that. Not on earth. So, this work provides practical, demonstrated examples of how people can go about co-creating, if they're a little bit courageous, how to create getting out of the trap they're in on this planet. Because they have to co-create it consciously in order to give permission to beings that can help them that are highly adept and trained at this, removing subconscious influences and all that. You have to get permission from them. You have to give permission to such beings to work with you. They're not tyrants. They're not going to force their will on anyone. They have intervened in the history of this planet, particularly more importantly after World War II, to keep us from destroying ourselves, which leaders on this world tried to do, push the button. Nuclear bombs, they did. That's classified. They don't tell people they actually tried to do it. And that something shut down their launch computers. They're not going to tell the public that, because that something was extraterrestrial related, and that's the highest classified thing there is on this planet. They don't want people knowing extraterrestrials exist. At least they didn't for decades after World War II. I can tell you that now that's changing. They want disclosure to happen as much as we do. They're just afraid they'll get lynched. So, beings I work with and associates are helping them understand that this is not the way this world is going to be transformed. No one's going to get lynched. No one's going to get shot. That's the thinking of people terrified of the future, who murder and damage other things to be dominant before they think someone else would do it to them first. That's the thinking of a tyrant. It's backed by terrible implants, terrible fear. And it's artificially created. It's not even real. The entire subconscious mind that people jibber jabber about on this earth, it was artificially created, is not part of human nature. Negative emotions and negative imagination are not part of the human being either. They're artificially created through the misuse of advanced extraterrestrial technology on beings who were trapped or caught or imprisoned and put on worlds with no memory to cover up the tracks of those who did it to them. This is a fact. This is what happened. This is not made up. This is how people came to be on this earth with no memory. It's not an easy thing for people to confront. They're terrified of it. People are terrified of getting out of their body, and they know at the end of their life they're going to have to anyway. But they're afraid because they think some demon will capture them if they get out of this thing they think is a security. It isn't. No one's going to capture the Atma if it leaves the body because it's not made of matter. There's no science or technology in the whole four lower dimensions of time and space that can do that to the Atma. Not even from the etheric plane, because the Atma is separate from all that. It runs bodies in each of these planes, but it is completely and always has been separate from that. We come from the source behind all life, each one of us. We are meant to know that source intimately, respect it, respect each other and all life in the entire creation. That is the only way any being can gain freedom or true free will. There is no other way to acquire that. Until people become benevolent and kind and enlightened and aware, confident. I work with what is called direct knowing perception or knowing certainty. One of the highest faculties of the Atma. Its ability to look into the grand multidimensional creation anywhere on any level and know things, because the omnipresent force that supports it knows all that. You plug yourself into it, made out of the same thing, but on a much higher level, and you can plug right into that knowing. And to beings that know it and are well trained and are not trapped on this earth. This is really important for people to know this, because if they don't hear it from me or they never hear it, it's not likely it's going to wake up in them in this lifetime. Why would it?
Yes, it is true, Scott. What you are telling us, we can find is this kind of information anywhere else. It's first time because
Oh.
I have my channel in Thai too, and then Thai people like, oh, this is they have been forgotten for a long, long time. And
Oh yeah, that's right. People still think, probably a lot of people that are jealous, or they think, whatever this guy's doing, they might take my followers away, or they might take my income away. This is their fear. Has nothing to do with me. I don't do what I'm doing for power or money or ego or lording something over somebody on this silly little backward planet. No, that's not what motivates me. That's not why I came here. I can deal with money and all that stuff or being known, but I don't do it for that. No. People will discover more about that when they recover the knowing of it in themselves. I don't just talk a good talk on radio shows. I take people on journeys to get them to begin to remember how to leave their body consciously while the body's still alive on this planet, and not when they put it to sleep in bed at night, because they're already conditioned to forget most of everything when they do that. So we put the body in the trance state called sleep on one of these shows, and I take them out there and show them a nice guided tour of the universe, other planets, ships, advanced ships, people, human and otherwise, on different dimensions, all the way up beyond the void known to most esoteric groups on Earth. Many people are trained to believe, very well disciplined, people, that there is nothing beyond that void. And of course, this just traps them in the lower worlds because they don't know. Since they don't believe it, they don't imagine it, they don't go there. And if they do, they don't remember it when they come back here in the morning because they're not trained to remember it. It's pretty simple. So what we should do is get people, and I'll put some headphones on so we get a little bit better quality out of the recording of these journeys. And with your permission, Pari, since this is your radio show, you're the host and I'm a guest, a regular guest for this show, I want to make sure people know, should be clear to them now, but when they see or review this show and any others we do, I will state first that this work with you, with me on this show, has absolutely nothing to do with any other show or guest you interview or anybody else's work on this planet. Not in the UFO or hidden disclosure community. I do not work or associate with any of those people, not because I'm being unkind, but because they still carry a great deal of fear about the future. And that just gets in the way of me doing my job. And also I found in my journeys and conferences around the world that those people, for the most part, will not collectively work together for the common good. They're busy trying to get followers or money, and what they don't realize is that they've been divided and conquered by a classified community that keeps them at each other's throats, throwing stones at each other, as if that's going to really benefit anybody. And a lot of these people don't realize that's what they're doing. They're adding energy to the momentum of what tyrants want to be afraid of the future. And when they do that, they're already off course as far as disclosure or them really being enlightened in any way. They're going to be carrying a lot of fear. They're going to be talking about a lot of fear, and they're going to be sending it into the future and out to guests who listen to these shows. There is some good that people do with that. There's also some bad. They're putting out two streams, aren't they? Positive and negative. Creates those circumstances around them and the people who listen to that. I'm not here to debate or compete with anyone. That's not why I'm here. As you know, I don't throw stones at any of these other people out in the world doing radio shows, or certainly not publicly. I certainly don't throw stones at other UFO people or researchers or people in the disclosure community. I know who they are. I've met many of them. I don't work or collaborate with them. They don't work or associate with me. They do their own thing. For me to do what I do effectively, I do not have associations with them. Only because, as I mentioned, from my experience, they carry a lot of fear of the future still. And this defeats the thing they're trying to do. So for my part, I want to make sure people understand that this work we do together is autonomous. It is unique. It is not associated with any other guest you interview or anyone else. I have nothing bad to say about anyone else. They do what they do until they stop doing it or they do something better. And for my part, I send this energy, this new ray in the U to this entire planet. That means all of them as well. I don't tell it what to do with them. It's a greater force than me, and it knows what to do for their betterment. I don't try to alter anyone or change anyone or imagine a change for someone else, because that would be interfering in their free will. Even if they're misguided to want to destroy themselves, it's not something I interfere with. So with that stated, I would ask everybody to sit in a chair or lie in a bed, get comfortable, but think of it like, by golly, you go to bed every night, don't you? Everyone on earth. Wouldn't it be fun if you really knew what was going on while your body was snoring all night long? Because you're not there. And the reason it snores, two things happen. Each being on earth that's unconscious has a subconscious mind they believe in or think they do. They will put that body to sleep in a complex process that requires that the being running the body causes the pineal gland in the center of the brain to secrete serotonin. Melatonin comes out of that and other things, which put the body in the trance state we call sleep. It actually goes on automatic. The lungs work, the heart works, blood pumps, but there's nobody of any intelligence whatsoever home. The brain is shut down. The eyes and ears are off. All that's happening is the body is being kept safely alive for a night while you're out traveling the multiverse. People on Earth are never brought up trained in any of this, so why would they have any reality on it? They're going to find out what they are again when the body dies. And if they don't get rid of fear of the future while they're here, they'll take it with them. So we want to make sure that we don't do that on these journeys. Imagine someone you love and respect, you're grateful they are in your life. Person, place, or thing, it doesn't matter, as long as it's genuine for you. As long as it's something that just makes you smile inside. If looking at a beautiful hummingbird or a luminous blue-green waterfall that's phosphorescent falling out of a cavern on a mountainside in another reality pleases you, or if imagining a certain cute thing that some child just did, or a pet, and it just warms your heart. This is what we want to start off, because it will turn on a certain connection through the pineal gland to you, the white core of your being, spherical energy that's running it. And that will get plugged into the omnipresent living force that supports everything. It's telepathic. It is not a materialistic connection. It is not done by the brain. When we go on these journeys, what is described and where we go, and people, when you go on it, will see what is described in their own way and where we go. They need to begin to understand that they're actually seeing it. Because the body, while we're on these journeys, is put into the trance state called sleep. Think of it like this. You do it every night anyway. Let's make some productive gain out of it. I begin these journeys by sending out you, this hue sound, first half of the word human, 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 woman, human, hue, woman. It's not that word, that language did not get created on this planet. The hue is a safeguard, a kind of a thing when it wakes up for a being running a body in any lifetime that begins to connect it telepathically back to the source. Beings out there and the source itself finds out where we are and connects with us for the first time in maybe billions of years. Things begin to change for the better. The tones that are created are to inspire you, the Atma, the real you, to put your physical body in the dream state or the trance state we call sleep. It would be fine, it's protected, and then we're going to go beyond this physical body out into the universe. Why as the Atma? Because it has no limits of physics over it. Time and space do not command it. The speed of light is not a factor. Black holes and dark matter and all of that does not affect the movements of the Atma. That's all material, universe related, and the Atma is not made of matter. It is energy, but not as people on Earth understand it, not yet. They're capable of it. And when I send out these tones, it is to help you, the body you have on Earth, the body you have in the astral plane, the causal, mental, and etheric, all five, go into the trance state in the lives they're living. Because you, the individual spherical being, is running all of them simultaneously. Just because you've been forced to be in fear of knowing that or cannot remember it, does not make it anything less than true. In this way, all of your fear you've ever grown up with, all of your fear of the future or your health or when you're going to die or any of that is put away with the sleeping body and turned off, shut off. When the brain and the mind go into the trance state that you have on Earth, the Atma, the real you, in this way, is free to travel consciously beyond the confines of that limited body. There is a connection, a type of energy beam from the white core of your being that's spherical with many layers around it. What people call soul on Earth has structure. And it connects through the pineal gland, which is what the being utilizes to govern and run the physical body. And it maintains this system of being asleep and on automatic in the trance state. The body's in the trance. This means the being's out, running it on automatic from a distance. When I do the hues, it will raise the vibration considerably. And it's meant only for your benefit, and it's designed to help you recover what you were made to forget. I will begin those tones now. The sound of the original source behind all life is audible to the Atma, the real you, soul. The real you that's running that body on earth has never been a physical body, ever. It runs them for a time, or gets new ones. The Atma itself is not made of physical matter, and it has never actually been a physical body. But it has been lied to and convinced and manipulated in quite extraordinary ways before people found themselves on this planet with no memory, but compelled to forget all that. Rest assured, if you've crossed paths with the Hue in this way, the Hue did not originate on planet Earth. No organization on planet Earth, government, religious, philosophical, or anything else has any domination or control over this omnipresent current. Some people have put out this information for the good of all life, but it did not originate with them either. It cannot be possessed by any being, but we all live and move and have our being within it. It is a co-creator with us. Therefore, beings need to know how to co-create properly with it to get the best benefit and change in their lives for their own sake and for the benefit of all life around them. The energies in the lower dimensions work on the principle of every action creates an equal but opposite reaction. Cause and effect, positive and negative, good and bad. Whatever you put out in the imagination comes back to you. Whatever you put out that's good and fun and joyful and alive and grateful and no negative nature whatsoever also comes back to you. To end what people call karma, unconscious reincarnations in bodies over and over again, the being has to work with the creative imagination, its ability to see into the grand multidimensional creation and know things with certainty. No doubt, no fear, no speculation, no theory, no debate, no argument, no anger, no revenge, no hatred. Those are artificially created emotions that people on Earth subconsciously believe are part of their nature. This is not true. The Atma itself has no positive and negative nature within it. It is simply benevolent. It desires, unfettered by such things, to only create that which will be of an uplifting benefit to all life, on all worlds, on all dimensions. This, then, is our true nature. Imagine being on a beach made of emerald green sand. Just think of it like daydreaming in a classroom when you're bored, some teacher's talking and you're looking out the window, everybody's done it, right? And you see the parking lot through the window and you're not really paying attention, but you're imagining being off on a ski trip or at the ocean with your feet in the sand, wiggling, enjoying yourself. The Atma itself that's running that body is what's seeing this somewhere else. The being doing it on Earth, most people aren't aware that that's what they're doing. So they do never gain the benefit of what it is they're doing. It has no purpose to them or direction. Feel your toes, bare feet, sinking down into cool, emerald green, tiny polished emerald crystals, pure, that have a luminous light around them, radiating around your feet as you wiggle your toes, and you feel this cool and warm energy come up your legs. It's uplifting, exhilarating, refreshing. The green energy represents recall and remembering. It's easy to see that because all of you have walked on a beach, or most of you, stuck your feet in the grass on a mountain slope or water or stream or the ocean, and felt what it was like. The body that you have goes into the trance state called sleep. This does not mean you're not aware of the body. It just means that it is in the trance state and you, that is aware of the body, are not. This is quite different than what you've been trained to do on this planet, to identify with the bodies that goes to sleep and go unconscious with it. If people take fear with them into the dream state when they put that body to sleep, their dreams and recall will be distorted, or they won't have any. Negative emotions distort higher awareness and the use of higher faculties. So leave that behind with the sleeping body. It is safe. No harm can come to it. When anybody's working with the new ray, the new consciousness that runs through the hue, the omnipresent first sound, supporting force behind all creation, nothing in the lower worlds and nothing of a negative nature, negative beings and out of bodies or misuse of advanced non-world technology, none of that can affect you. You're going to have to find this out by your own direct experience. Otherwise, these are just words. When you look up, you can see this green energy move up this body you have that's perfectly healthy, about 36. There's a reason for that age. Just means you're at this age in prime of life and perfectly healthy. Whatever ailments you have are not in this body that looks like you. It's an energy manifestation. And the energy moves up your torso and it moves up past your head, and you look up smiling, and up above you see a sphere of energy about 4 feet across, hovering there. And you know that the energy form that looks like you with its feet in the green sand and that sphere above you are the same being, just two different forms. The Atma is not made of matter. It gets its perceptions of matter and matter worlds from forms it creates to detect such things. The shape of that sphere you're looking at has a white core, and it has a layer, like a yellow layer, certain thickness with little teardrop shapes and all luminous. Then it goes into more of an orange layer, then a red layer, green, blue, lavender, violet. There's a golden halo around it that's being created from the white core. It's a protection. Each of those teardrops that are self-luminous in all those levels are higher faculties of being. They don't have anything to do with the brain or the body you grew up with on Earth. But they run that brain and body. The truth is, no brain or body on Earth or animal body runs itself on automatic as a biological machine like humans at 98.7 degrees Fahrenheit. The body would sit there and drool and do nothing or die if the being wasn't motivating it, the real person. Bodies do not run themselves. Isn't it odd that people don't know what it is that's running that body and keeping it moving? They've been made to forget it. What was done to them often by tyrants in other existences before this life they found themselves on Earth was done to them in such a way that such beings thought it was permanent. Control people to use their energy against their will. Fact is, it isn't permanent, and people are waking up all over creation despite what was done to them, because something new is moving through that omnipresent you that underlies everything that was not there before. See yourself as this sphere now, hovering above your body near the ceiling back on Earth. You look down with kindness, you see the bodies with its eyes closed. If you're wise, you're doing this, or you're wasting your own time. And it's hovering above this body. And it is that sphere, the real you, soul, that is making that body be in the trance state called sleep. You do it every night anyway. So don't tell me or try to pretend it's difficult, because you do it every night. This is different because you're aware that you are something that is not the body, going through this special process. This process is telepathic. It is the way Atmas communicate with each other through the omnipresent force they live in and move and have their being. Find yourself in the atmosphere, maybe at 5,000 feet. I don't care if it's day or night, wherever you are on Earth, going into this journey with us. Look around you as a spherical energy. It just feels like you feel like yourself, but you can see in every direction, or every direction at once if you wish to. And you see that there are other beings hovering there around you. Pari and myself are there. My friend Ambassador Terellian from the Sayres race is there, has joined us in the atmosphere. He is capable of being in all these places with all the beings on this journey at one time. He is from the Sayres race. He has 8-stranded DNA in the body that he once had. They immortalized their physical form over 1 billion years ago. They had bodies 18 feet tall or taller. We get our genomes for the DNA structure of our bodies from them originally. These are the kinds of beings that will help us, if we request it, to untie the tight knot of unconsciousness that has befallen the people who are on Earth today. Find yourself in orbit above the planet. That's right, just like the space shuttle, except you are a sphere of light, has a structure, I've described it. Terellian is in the center, and the group of us on this journey are surrounding him as independent spheres of energy, Atmas or souls. And his Atma looks just like us, a little brighter perhaps. And then you see a body form manifest out in front of it, standing upright in the vacuum of space. He has long blonde hair, big blue eyes, slightly pointed ears, kind of a Greek gown on. He looks like a Greek god. And he's showing you the physical form he had before it was immortalized. I don't mean immortalized like it stays 36 forever. I mean they dematerialized their bodies as beings and stored them in one of those teardrops in the Atma that they are. When he wants to manifest a body that you could actually touch to carry out a mission, he manifests it by drawing energy from the you through that program, and it just appears. And when he's done, he just dissolves it. So he's trying to show you all the potential of what we're capable of doing as Atmas one day. He is an Atma like us, more advanced certainly, but an Atma. You don't need to breathe in space. You don't feel heat or cold. You don't get affected by radiation from the sun. And you can see the Earth with its polar ice caps, and the moon that's barren with meteor craters all over it, that does not turn on its axis, always shows us the same face as it revolves around planet Earth. When you look out in space, all of you will have seen pictures from the Hubble telescope or satellites or radio telescopes that show you billions of galaxies out there, like the Milky Way and Andromeda, our closest neighbor. As far as they can see in every direction, there are all these billions of galaxies. Except in those pictures, space between planets and stars and galaxies looks black, only because human eyes on Earth are not capable of seeing into the higher vibrations of light and sound that only the Atma can see. Physical eyes are limited, so it appears black. But to you, the Atma hovering above our planet, that void between the Earth and the moon and the sun and the stars and the other galaxies appears like a brilliant white light with a golden essence moving through it. This is a new ray of intelligence in this force, this living energy that co-creates with us. And it is only moving in one new direction now, to inspire in beings who have long forgotten how to create only that which will be of an uplifting benefit to all life on Earth and all of it out there as well. This begins to wake up in each of you as it's being spoken telepathically, because it isn't words, it's a channel of energy from that omnipresent living force. I co-create with it, it comes through me, and it reaches the white core of your being to help you, assist you to recall and remember. Takes courage. The step beyond what you were misdirected and taught since birth on planet Earth. All wrong. In the highest worlds, far beyond the void, many dimensions up from the physical reality, there is a source behind all life. That source, not the tyrants that pretend to be it in the lower dimensions, the real source, never requested, required, or asked any of us to worship it. I must tell you this in truth because all that is required for the Atma as a co-creator with it, our real purpose, is that we respect that source we come from, each other, and all life in the grand multidimensional universe, which means to respect all life in that universe and be free in it, we have to know what that life is. This begins the recovery, the waking up of such awareness. Hugh, the first half of the name, human, was not created by accident to be hidden in plain sight as the first part of that word. It sets up a vibrational chain of events that go up through the dimensions when you begin to be aware that that's what it does. And it connects you to beings and the source you've long forgotten, and it begins a reversal of the process that has dumbed you down to be on a planet with no memory of how you got to be here, or all you knew before you were compelled to be unconscious on Earth. This is not your normal state. There's not a being on Earth today that does not know somewhere in their being that something is very wrong about the way life is taught and the way it's lived on Earth, that it's not right, because they used to remember when they did, long ago, they weren't like this. Now you see Terellian, myself, several master teachers from other worlds. One is named Master Ramu, one is named Master Pelham. He's Oceanan. He's from a planet on the other side of the Milky Way, 3 parallel dimensions of higher molecular time rate up from what you know as Earth. He has pale blue skin, emerald green eyes, long black hair, shiny. Human, looks to be about 40 maybe, perfectly healthy, in a one single piece suit or gown that he wears. And he's holding up his fingers. You can see his body form hovering in space outside of the sphere that he really is, projecting it. And you can see little webs between his fingers, just little ones. Lifts his neck and you can see 3 little slits on each side of his neck. He is human. He has genomes and DNA like us. But their race on this world, mostly water covered, called Oceania, has a few little small islands around the equator and no big land masses. It's water covered. Their race evolved with the ability to swim and breathe underwater or on land. The genetic strain or structure of an Oceanian, though different in appearance to us somewhat, is still so close to human DNA that we could mate with them. This goes back in galactic history to the development of higher body forms that were designed in higher genetic patterns to allow the Atma to run higher faculties of enlightenment through a genetic system, so they could have perceptions of each reality. This was why it was done. The Seres were masterful over 1 billion years ago in assisting many types of bodies to evolve to a point where Atmas could run them, like human, humanoid, and some even more advanced human type races like the Oceanian or the Seres, and there are many others. Space beyond Earth is already occupied. Very important to know if you plan on playing among the stars. If this planet and its governments as they are now want to play among the stars, they will have to evolve out of deception and dishonesty into benevolent kindness and freedom themselves. Because that's the only way they're ever going to be allowed to go out and play among the stars. Why? Because space is already occupied by much more advanced races. And we're going to have to join them, not the other way around. Tyrants who once had an influence on leaders on planet Earth have been sent home, removed from here. Unfortunately, the programs they used on people against the free will of anyone remain. And that needs to be undone. That can't be done by me as a single person or Pari. It has to be done by billions of other beings who do not have subconscious minds and know what they're doing in order to fix this place in time. Fear not. Earth was stopped from nuclear war numbers of times during the Cold War with the former Soviet Union. They weren't allowed to have a nuclear war. that would harm life in parallel dimensions. People on Earth are too ignorant to, don't care about knowing about it. And we don't have the right to negatively affect life beyond this planet anywhere else. It would also affect life in a negative way out in space. The beings out there are not going to tolerate it, period, ever. Which means people on Earth are going to need to change in quite dynamic ways so that they can be invited as a world culture to play among the stars. And we're talking just the physical universe now. So there we are floating in space around Terellian, and no, I have not forgotten that. And you look at the Earth and you see a heat wave move in front of your vision, and the world is still in the same place, but it changes. And now you see a water-covered world, no polar ice caps, a moon with oxygen atmosphere, waterfalls, little mountains, rivers, gardens, 5 domed cities on the front with 3 4-sided golden pyramids with quartz caps in them. These are people who live in the domes. They also move out in the countryside because there's an atmosphere around this moon, and it turns on its axis as it moves around the planet. You can see one big continent over the equator from the left hemisphere to the right. It extends near the hemisphere on each side and moves up towards the polar ice, towards the polar cap. There's no ice. It's ocean. About a third away from the pole, then it goes down to the right, then it comes down below that, below the equator, almost just to about a third away above the southern pole, and then extends out. You can see there's another continent on the other side of this planet. You can see right through the planet as the Atma. It's 2/3 the size. And this continent, if you look at it from space, has a curved crescent-shaped emerald green beach down at that point, a third of the way above the southern pole. It's glowing. You can see it from space. There are tropical jungle trees along the shore of that continent. You can see in golden letters that appear 3-dimensionally across its surface, Lemuria or Mu, then it fades. This is a Lemuria that has never had polar flips. This planet never flipped its poles. It is located 3 frequencies of time rate of molecular matter, time rate, up from the one you're used to that has a barren moon. Basically, people are walking around on Earth without realizing this other world exists around them in a higher frequency. There is nothing of a polluted nature in the atmosphere, water, or land on that world or that moon. You put your feet down into the emerald green sand at the beginning of this journey by imagining, without really realizing where you were, what you were doing. This is the way the Atma actually recovers its ability to see and know things. It has to be done through the imagination. You can see that emerald green beach down there, and you suddenly find your feet, a physical body, looks like you, sinking comfortably, your toes down in this soothing emerald green glowing sand. And you can see myself and Pari, a dozen master teachers, men and women, several who were described at the beginning of the journey, and Terellian in his physical form, standing knee-deep in the ocean offshore, blue-green ocean water, radiant, luminous, charged. Above him, the Atma that he is running that form, so you can see it. He's given us 2 thumbs up. He is a being of few words. He is a being of action. Those thumbs up mean something. He's providing some assistance to people on this journey of free will. 2 thumbs up means he's encouraging us in an energetic way, telepathically, to have the courage to recover what we're afraid of recovering, to trust in the true nature of your own self, not on anything or anyone from outside your own being, but on what you once knew. Now you have the protection in order to explore it and recover it. Your feet are in the emerald green sand. That energy goes up through your body, up through the top of your head. You look up smiling, and there's you hovering above this form. And that green energy moves up into the white core of your being and out through the layers to the green area and starts to light up some of those little teardrops around that area. These are higher faculties, long dormant in people living in bodies on Earth. You look inland and you realize we're near the top of the crescent shape of this beach, and there's a brown moss-covered path that goes straight back through the jungle. It's like 3-4 feet wide, smooth, and you can see a white marble circular floor somewhere about a mile inland. And you can see tall, 4-foot-high lavender grass gently swaying in the breeze around what appears to be a statue standing on a pedestal. And there's rainbow-colored light glistening off the surface. You find yourself hovering as a sphere with Terellian and all of us in a circle above this statue. It is the statue of a woman. It is made of pure, polished quartz, transparent. It has long, great big angel wings behind her back, but she's not an angel or an angelic order, no. These wings represent the ability of the Atma, which you can see is hovering above this statue, to fly through creation, far beyond the use of wings. It's a symbol. She is beautiful, 10 feet tall, longer fingers, slender and feminine, longer neck. Her eyes are violet, radiant, slightly pointed ears. Her hair, you can see an image of her inside the quartz, as if she's standing inside it. And her hair is long, silver. It looks like silver metal, polished silver. But you can reach in with the telepathic nature of your knowing, and you know that it's soft to the touch. Terellian is hovering above her, next to her. You look at her forehead, and you see a gold thin band around her forehead, and a faceted emerald stone, radiant, and her hands, the statue, are out to the side, glowing with a golden light around, a green light around them. And you look down this path back to the beach and see the foot of glow above the beach, and you realize that it's being charged from this device, this statue. The statue is an interdimensional doorway. It was a gift from an advanced race on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy brought to this particular Earth and put here to assist beings like us to remember. When you look at this emerald stone, like a teardrop, you begin to be drawn into the center, and you can see, as you look in it, like a magnifying glass, this woman is standing up with her bare feet, 10 feet tall, in a huge energy field that is green. And you suddenly find yourself inside that field, size of a football or soccer stadium, and you're standing there in your bare feet with you, the real you, the Atma, hovering there, gazing at this smile coming from this woman. Her hands are still up in the air like the statue, and she lowers them. Then you see her mate, a male, her way, same way, long silver hair, a little taller than her, appear beside her. And she is telling and talking to all of you telepathically, and I will interpret it in case you don't have the confidence to, it's okay. They are simply saying that they are members or the leaders of a race called Zentrum, and they are located on a planet clear across the Milky Way galaxy, which you begin to see like a hologram projected in the green atmosphere. And it's a world 4 times bigger than Earth, no polar ice caps, little land masses all over its surface, and little oceans, and domed cities, like 12 you can see on it. Each domed city is quite large and houses 3 4-sided, golden-sided pyramids with quartz caps. They are functional devices. You can see 3 moons at different distances circling this planet, the size of Earth. No polar ice caps. Domes on them, different color of land. One's green, one has a kind of a almost lavender ocean. Another one, a slight tinge of red. And when you look out, you can see in the distance these worlds circle around a trinary sun system. A big blue giant star, a medium star that's yellow like our sun, and further away, a red dwarf. They're showing you what their planet looks like. And in the next instance, you find yourself transported, and you have a physical form with your bare feet. Hovering above you is the Atma, and Terellian walking beside us, following a kind of a lavender-colored gravel path. It's winding its way along a snaking river, and in the distance, tall mesas, like you'd find in Sedona, Arizona, red, and a big dome city in between them, and Cree-golden quartz-cap pyramids underneath it. When you look up, you can see one of the closer planets, right in daytime. And it has little land masses and little oceans and dome cities on it, circling this planet. And then you see approaching on the path in front of us, we stop, and you see hovering above two tall bodies, beautiful Atmas, running these body forms. They come up to us and stop, and it's the man and woman we met from Zentrum back in the green void inside the statue. And we are standing on the ground of Zentrum, clear across the Milky Way galaxy, as the Atma, running a physical form that looks like you, which you are capable of doing. And they tell you, welcome to Zentrum 1, primary planet. This race supervises more than half of the entire world systems in the Milky Way galaxy. They've never been involved in war. The other half is basically primarily supervised by what's called the Galactic Interdimensional Alliance of Free Worlds, made up of 450 plus million world systems. Tyrants that were spacefaring, that had interfered with Earth, have been quarantined and going through a change. The energy moving through the cosmos now is moving in a new, singular, one-way direction. It cannot be reversed, fortunately. You look up and you find yourself again hovering in a green atmosphere with this woman and this man standing upright with their violet eyes and silver hair. And they tell you all that now that they know who you are and are aware of you, if you request it of them, they and the people that associate with them throughout the universe will begin to assist you to recover who you are and what your purpose is as a being. They retell you now that our purpose as beings is to co-create kind, wonderful new ways of doing things with the source itself. Then you find yourself hovering above this crystal angel statue, outside of it, above this white marble floor it sits on, surrounded by tall, 4-foot lavender grass. And in the distance, along the wide, sleepy river, is tall, what look like tall eucalyptus trees with blue-green leaves that are glowing, luminous. Some mineral in them. It's kind of like self-luminous, phosphorescent. In the distance, on the other side of this white marble floor, this brown moss path continues to wind its way up a mountainside, and you can see in the distance a single snow-covered peak. And down at the base, a further elevation upward, is a huge dome, clear, covering a city. 3 4-sided golden pyramids with quartz caps, a big lake, different small individual ivory-colored dome dwellings and little white marble paths. And up the side of the mountain, to the right side of this dome, all the way up 2/3 towards the summit, is a cavern opening. Out of it is roaring a blue-green luminous water, a waterfall cascading down thousands of feet along a cliff face, where it hits the floor behind the dome and winds its way to begin to make a river through a blue-green forest that surrounds this crystal dome. This is a center where master teachers from the Galactic Alliance, beings from the Zentrum 1 race, The Say rays, people called silent mentors, occasionally visit here. They are the mechanics of creation. And they have had this place here for ages. The poles have never flipped here like they have in the Earth you're familiar with every 100,000 years, destroying all life on the planet. Beings that brought human slaves here under treaty after a great war 500,000 years ago would leave them behind when such catastrophes were about to befall that planet. Benevolent races who had things developed like on Lemuria that was here also would leave because the event that causes the poles to flip was not really created as a natural event, but it is a cyclic event. At the time, these races from the stars could not prevent it. Recently and permanently, the polar flips of planet Earth that you're used to have been stopped. No more golden age to iron age. Poles of this planet will not flip again. It is being redesigned and redesignated to become a member of a great alliance of worlds. And for that to happen, the people on it must recover who they are. You can see another cavern opening above the waterfall. It has little circular domed lights running to the interior. That goes to the inside of a mountain in Northern California we call Mount Shasta. It is a Galactic Alliance base that was put there in 1908. Them, those who work in that base and those from other worlds, have intervened in this world at least to the degree to keep us from annihilating ourselves. They do not wish to run our governments, but they're not going to allow governments and the people the way they are to play among the stars and bring their terror and fear out into the universe. This is not going to happen. So you see, disclosure and truth is inevitable. There are people on Earth today in those classified arenas, believe me, that know this now. They're just working a process to get full disclosure going in a safe way, and they're getting the help they need to do it. We're not going on a journey to that Mount Shasta base today. Find yourself in orbit above this planet, this Earth that has no polar ice caps, hovering around Terellian. You begin to see 100 men and women appear standing in space around us. Behind them, the real them, the sphere, radiant and beautiful. Their bodies are all about 36 to 40, perfectly healthy, the bodies you're seeing here projected. And they are men and women, greatly advanced, highly trained, many of them master teachers from different worlds and even from different dimensions. And they are there to join us on this journey and to be aware of who you are that have come with us. Beings like this that are there, some of you will notice or feel familiar with them. Some of them look human from Earth, some are humanoid. Others are not human, but they all have kind eyes. And some of you will be familiar with them. You'll see several of them approach each one on this journey, male and female, and offer to assist you to recover if you give them permission. This is done when you're out of your body at night, so that the shock is not too great, and you wake up in the morning with a more elevated, changed consciousness. We're going to take a journey, briefly, through the lower dimensions, through the void known to esoteric groups on Earth, and we're going to go beyond that void to the first division above the void that is made of pure positive energy. There's no opposites. There's no cause and effect. No negative nature can be brought there. And you're going to see little sparkling stars, blue, that begin to appear above our heads in space. And they widen, spinning around like a foot-thick motion clockwise. And they're opening a doorway in space-time. So kind of a blue-green tunnel that looks like water, slowly moving in a huge tunnel that goes up as far as you can see. And you see a blue, funny, pale blue atmosphere all the way up the end of this tunnel. And all of us move up as a group, like stars circling around the nucleus of a galaxy. Terellian in the center, simply to serve as a guide to keep us focused. And we move up through that at tremendous speed and find ourselves coming out the other end, hovering in a pale blue atmosphere. That vortex below us vanishes, and you can see in every direction there doesn't appear to be anything here. Just a kind of a pale blue light, no structures, not in any direction, below, above, around, to the sides. This void actually has this blue energy running through it, pale blue. And there are beings who work here, but you cannot detect them. That takes training. So it's thought of as a void. You're going to suddenly find that we are moving as a group at tremendous speed into the distance of this pale blue void until you begin to see far off a little speck of white light. And it widens as we approach it. And you can see there's a luminous kind of a golden white beach that extends as far as the eye can see, straight as an arrow in each direction. And we move over the top of that shoreline and come to stop to observe these gigantic jungle trees made of these crystal materials, like growing flowers out of crystal. Very beautiful, luminous. These birds start flying out of the tree, dozens of them, and they hover in concentric rows in the air. They have long V-shaped split tails. They look like a blue jay, but they're bigger, and they have rainbow-colored bodies. The whole spectrum of light colors is blended evenly down their bodies. They're beautiful. Big bulbous blue eyes and two sets of bird wings. They can hover like a dragonfly that has two sets of wings, but these are bird wings, one above the other. And they begin to talk to all of you. They have vocal cords. They're telepathic. They have photographic memories. These birds here have a higher genetic structure. And if you look closely, you will see spherical Atmas hovering above each one of them, learning how to be free as a bird, so to speak, knowing they're not. And these birds begin to sing the hue, masculine and feminine voices, like millions of men and women with perfect singing voices, singing the hue on multiple levels in harmony, beautiful melodies. And then it blends into one solid, whole, round, even humming tone. And they welcome you here, then go back to their trees. We move over the top of the jungle and come to find that there's a clearing with a white marble floor, and there's a fountain sitting in this clearing. Botanical paradise, concentric circles created around it. Off in the distance is a crystalline type structure like a palace, not inhabited by a tyrant though, at the base of a long snow-capped mountain range. The statue standing in the middle of this white alabaster, wide bowl with scalloped edges on a circular, kind of a circular support and a pedestal before it. It has three curved little white marble seats around it. It goes all the way around it. You can see the statue is of a bronze skin-tone man with a bald head, about 36, with two gold bracelets on his upper arms and a simple white tunic dress from his waist down to his bare feet. He's bare-chested, muscular, perfectly built. And his hands are down at his sides, each side of his hips, about 6 inches away, and there's a white light with a golden essence pouring from them down into this bowl, filling it. It's luminous. It looks like water, but it isn't. It's pouring down over the sides in an even, glistening sheet and vanishing in the floor. You look over to the right, you see a man step onto the white marble floor and stop. It is the being represented in the fountain. And he smiles. He knows we're here. He's welcoming us. His name is Satnam. It just means true name. It's just simply the first manifestation in any form between the uncreated worlds and energies above to the created worlds below. You can see the statue in the fountain suddenly changed to a shaft of white light with a golden essence, roaring up and down, filling this bowl, and it's falling down in an even sheet. And we find ourselves suddenly darting up inside this shaft of light and come out into an atmosphere that is a darker blue, sky blue, in a realm created just above this realm, this first plane above the void, and the sixth major division above that. It's a special place. The air around you is a beautiful blue, vibrant energy, and that shaft of light vanishes, and you find that we are floating in a realm. And when you look out, you're looking down on 6 tall snow-covered mountain peaks. You're above this whole land. When you look around it, you see a huge circular landmass, completely round, the white glistening beach completely around its circumference, jungle forest kind of tropical trees near the beach. And then off to the left, the base of the mountains is a single glass-like blue transparent structure that rises up off a white marble floor, goes to a kind of a flattened spherical administration area, and then continues up to a point. You can see right through it. At the base of this white marble floor, at the base of this administration tower, are white roads made of like marble stone that go straight as an arrow out to the beach in every direction, like the spokes from a bicycle tire. And when they head towards the base of the mountain, they go through tunnels. They go through a hollow chamber inside the 6 mountain ranges, 6 mountains, and come out the other side in tunnels to end on the white sanding beach on the other side. We are hovering in what is called the U Expansion Ray Academy, and it's something that was brought into creation for the first time a little over 7.5 to 8 years, Earth years ago. Here, you are floating in an atmosphere as an Atma. You can see a physical form standing out in the air in front of you. And when you breathe, you can feel this blue light move through you and out of you, like you're an open window. And you can look into it and see that behind this blue essence is this white light with a golden sheen to it, sparkling behind it. That is the new ray in the hue, a new consciousness that has evolved here to change the way things are done in the lower dimensions. And that will affect Earth in an entirely unique way for the first time. We can't stay here long. This is a radio endeavor after all. But at least you should put your bare feet down in the white luminous sand. Look at the white tower, follow the roadway, clear out miles to the beach, and find yourself Atma hovering above a body, and your feet are sinking into these white sands. They're whiter light and golden essence to them you've never seen before. And it moves up your legs and into the white core of your being, and it brightens it. Then you find us all suddenly hovering above the 6 mountain peaks. Down in the valley, between the 6 peaks, they're in like a hexagon, is an island, like a white sandy island. And in the center of it, on a blue pedestal that's laced with gold, blue stone, hovering above it is this cobalt blue transparent sphere of light. And around it is a beautiful botanical garden, and then a lake, which is beautiful blue-green luminous water around it, and then the 6 big mountain peaks surrounding that. When you look at this cobalt blue stone, you see a shaft of light coming down completely the size of the stone, going inside it and moving down through the pedestal upon which it hovers, down through the center of this landmass. That is a landmass that floats in a blue atmosphere in every direction as far as you can see. There are no moons, no suns, no stars, no planets. Everything here is self-luminous. the ground, the mountains, the stone, the tower, the beach, the ocean water that hits that beach is just a little darker form of the same energy in the atmosphere. It just looks like water. When you look out over these white roadways extending in every direction, you can see little left and right turn roadways that go into clearings all over it, lit up. And these have different structures in them. These are teaching facilities. The 100 beings that joined us, you can now see around us. And they move off in the distance and go down into different domes and pyramid shapes and different parts around it to conduct teaching of beings when they come here, particularly when they're out of their bodies at night. Then you find that you are once again instantly hovering above this world, this earth, that has no polar ice caps. You can see the Lemurian continent on a planet that never shifts at poles. You can see that emerald green beach down below the equator of the southern pole. We just visited that. You can see the moon turning on its axis, the oxygen atmosphere, little rain clouds and dome cities. And as it turns, you see two large domes in the mountainous area on the backside coming into view. You can see our sun in the distance. And then you suddenly see it change. The vibration is lowered a bit, and you see the Earth you're used to with polar ice caps and a barren, meteoric, crater-covered moon. And then you find yourself as an Atma, spherical being, hovering above your physical body back on Earth. And you smile kindly down on that form you're running. It is in the trance state called sleep. Bring the awareness of this journey kindly down into the pineal gland in the center of your brain and light up some brain cells there and let this white light with a golden essence pass through you for your benefit on Earth. And it will continue to flow through you out into the Earth world for the benefit of all life. When you're ready, open your eyes.
It was wonderful and beautiful, Scott.
It is similar to what we've done before, but people are going to find that the reason we don't go off into millions of other planets and all over the universe is because that can be very distracting and we won't get any productive use out of it. That's why Terellian goes with us in order that we go on journeys that make sense on many levels. I guide people to go on these levels so they can become accustomed to flexibly and effortlessly moving between them again as an Atma, not a body. They do it every night, but they don't go very far, maybe to the astral plane. They don't go very far because they don't remember about this thing. So I wanted to make sure that people understood that. And when you put this on YouTube, they can play it back at a time, hopefully when they will be rested and they will be awake and alert, when they won't be disturbed, and they will get a lot more out of this journey by going on it again.
Scott, may I share this because I present your work to Thai people too, okay? And then they go on journey too.
Right.
At the very beginning, they might not see anything, okay? That's what I experienced. Me too, myself too. It takes some time. You just go read Scott's book, okay? Like 2 books I would recommend. Go on journey and send out the cue. That would help a lot.
Well, yeah. It will, because these books were written. It took an entire lifetime to develop this trilogy of books here on Earth. I had to go through my own recovery to even know what to write here from my experience. More about the past time track. The Lemuria that in the poles flipped on the Earth people are familiar with. How they flip and extraterrestrial involvement, then good and bad, is revealed here in a history that is not taught on this Earth. There are 30 illustrations of characters and scenes in this book. It will help people remember. That's the Emerald Doorway. Now, if people only speak Thai and can't read English, I recommend that they get the books and put them by their bedside, put them under their bed, or put them around, because when they go out of their bodies at night, if they request this and they have a little courage, they will meet with masterful beings from other worlds that know how to speak all languages, and they will help them in Thai when they're out of their bodies. And they'll even find they're able to understand other alien languages. It's going to be a lot of fun for them. but it needs to be their experience. In the beginning, some people think they aren't seeing what I'm showing them, but they're deceiving themselves, because I know from working with other people, including you, that they are seeing it. They're just afraid. They're still in fear about admitting it to themselves, because they all idly daydream. They don't realize what they're doing when they're daydreaming. That's the problem. This is the Ceres agenda. There's the planet Saturn in our solar system. And as you can see, the ice rings, the rings of Saturn are made of ice, water. This is a mile-long parent cylindrical ship with a bridge control in the front, an identical one in the back you can't see. These are Galactic Scout class craft with 3 semi-spherical pods in the bottom. They glow a pale blue light that's an anti-gravitic light. This ship is stationed permanently in our solar system. It is in a thing called shifted out of phase. It's just raised its molecular time rate a bit so that if people came there with negative intentions, they wouldn't even see it. These ships are beginning to enter the center of this hall. They don't go through an open launch bay. They change their molecular time rate and pass right through the metal hull and then change it down again and land inside the launch bay. These are very advanced. These are this is an Emerald Star cruiser. It's a Galactic Alliance ship. There are beings on this ship, master teachers from out in the universe and from other dimensions that work here, or in these craft, usually 4 couples, 2 men, 2 women. And they go on missions to Earth and they do things to help people recover. Again, they work privately. You ever seen, people have seen spaceships that seem to glow, dart across the sky, and then they just wink out. All they've done is change their molecular time rate to raise the electromagnetic field around the craft. You do that a little bit and people on Earth can't even see it. Radar can't detect it. It's just really part of a parallel dimension then, and they can move between them. This book has a special technique section in the back involving the hue, not from Earth, not from any organization or people that use it or have it. It's not controlled by anyone on this planet. So this is about how beings from other worlds will work with it. And this basically is the revelation of what is changed out in the universe among the stars to make it possible to transform this planet for the first time. So those are those 2 books. I have a music CD. I'm also a composer. This is called Stranger on a Lost Island. Now, this is a being named Melina, who is a character in the Emerald Doorway, walking up to be met by this teacher, the maroon robe, and a quartz crystal staff. I don't know how well you can see it.
Yeah, a bit higher, yes. Okay.
And he's going to take her on a journey from this world, where you can see the reflection of the golden atmosphere, out here. There's our galaxy, and up in the corner up here, see if you can see it, is the Earth. It's up. This is not a this is like an opening that goes from this steps into another reality. And she's going on a journey to planet Earth. The title of the album is called Stranger on a Lost Island. The Lost Island is planet Earth. So those are the things that will help some people energetically, vibrationally, telepathically to recover. If they want to, they can. So I'll leave your audience and you. Thank you, Pari, for doing these shows.
Thank you to you and to our beings, friends that join us, Scott.
I will say, we're all in this together. I'm rooting for you. Keep your stick on the ice. That's a hockey term, you know, keep your stick down. Don't go whacking anybody with it. That kind of thing. And pleasant dreams. If you get anything from this journey, it is that you will remember that you are not a physical body and you are a living energy, spherical. Think about it this way. Planets and moons and stars are all round. Who or what made them in that shape? Think about it. Beings like us, spherical energy, made them in that shape. The source behind all life made them in that shape. And we all had a co-creative hand in that. So pleasant journeys. And
Thank
I'll
you.
stop the recording now, to end the show, and we can chat. Bye, everyone.